What's up, guys? Today we're going to work on my 1974 Plymouth Duster. We're going to pull out the factory upper A-arms and replace them with these SPC Adjustable A-arms. Basically, I've got 2-inch drop spindles in the car so I can get a really low stance and still be able to push up the bars so that there's some suspension travel up front without it bottoming out. I got the ride height where I like it. The upper A-arms are all the way out and I still have negative camber, so I've maxed out on my outward travel and the car's still, sitting with a negative camber. So I bought these SPC adjustable arms. The factory arms are 4 degrees. They have 4 degrees of travel, 2 in and 2 out. These SPC arms have 6 degrees. They use these tie rods basically to adjust the arms. What's kind of interesting is there's a pivot on here. I'm thinking it's just for packaging so that they can get it in a smaller box. I don't really see it being an issue because once it's bolted to the car, it's not really going to go anywhere. The other interesting thing was that the washers are round, so it eliminates the factory way of adjusting the upper A-arms. And I'm curious if I can use the factory bolts with the factory eccentrics, and if I could increase the adjustability by combining the SPC 6 degrees of travel plus the 4 degrees of the factory travel. I'm not sure. We might get in there and there might be issues with using the factory bolts. I don't know if they'll fit these or not. So anyways, we'll figure that out. Comes with ball joints, comes with a boot and a zerk. These weren't cheap. I paid $470 for these things after taxes. Shipping was free. But it's one of the last things I need to get done on the car before I can actually start driving it any kind of distance reliably. So I got to do it. Anyways, if you're into Mopar, old school Mopars and do-it-yourself videos, I've got a bunch of Mopars and I'm always wrenching on them. Just my own stuff. I don't have any business or anything like that. So if you don't mind, please smash the like button and subscribe. And let's get after that Duster. Alright guys, you can kind of see how much negative camber the car has. Even with all the weight off of it, that wheel's leaning in pretty hard. And when you look at the upper arm, you can see I have the eccentrics turned all the way out to push the arm out as far as it can go. The front one and on the back one. And it's still not enough. And the passenger side's not quite as bad, but it's almost there. And on the back, the wheel's not leaning too hard on this side, but anyway, So I don't think it's just due to the weight, I mean the height of the car that I had it set to. You know, my original thought was when the car is lowered, the lower control arm kind of swings out, pushes the bottom of the spindle out more, and is why the wheel's leaning so much. But now I'm kind of thinking, now that the weight's all the way off of it, it's still leaning pretty hard. I think it's just from the car being raced over the years. The two previous owners raced the car with a 440 in it, so that motor's probably pulling pretty hard on the frame rail, and then the car launching, kind of coming up off the ground on the driver's side and then slamming back down. Constant beating on it. It's probably twisting that frame rail a little bit. And what's possible, I don't know, but you know, for all I know, they might have cut the inner fender well out and not added these bars until later. Maybe they saw it developing a problem and then decided to add the bars to strengthen it. But I think it's strong now. I'm not too worried about it. With the extra adjustability and degrees with the SPC arms, I think I'm going to get everything I need to get this wheel more straight up and down and aligned. Alright, before you start knocking anything loose on the suspension, make sure that you take all the tension out of the torsion bars. And that's through this bolt that goes through the lower control arm. You just loosen it up till it's completely loose, and then there won't be any spring tension in here. If you were to knock something loose like the upper ball joint while there's still tension on it, this thing could come slamming down. You could potentially get hurt. So make sure all the tension is out before you start knocking anything loose over here. Yesterday I went to a car show. My buddy came out to the car show, and after the show was over, we went for a ride, did some burnouts, and you know, hauled ass in the duster just to kind of show him what it could do within reason, because the alignment's so sketchy. I didn't want to get crazy fast, and there's too much traffic anyways. But anyway, as we're driving the car, the thing just got super loud. I could tell it blew out a gasket. I thought it was the flange gasket because I had this flange gasket apart when I was working on the leaf springs in the back. So I thought I blew that gasket, but I just noticed the header gasket is completely blown out. I have one of those aluminum gaskets, and the bolt is gone. And then this one is now finger tight, 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 tight. So the front ones are good, but these three back ones are finger tight. Anyway, I should have put lock washers on here, and I didn't, and I'm paying the price now. So I'm gonna have to get new header gaskets and replace that. Oh well, live and learn. All right, so in order to get this upper arm off, we're gonna have to pull the caliper, pull the rotor off so I can get a pickle fork in here to the upper ball joint, knock that loose, and then I can pull the upper arm off. Here's the SPC arm. So these are conveniently engraved, so we know that this one is the left side. The box also says left side. Alright, so I ran into my first problem. Take this off of the A-arm. basically this piece is this area. Hopefully you can see that, of the control arm. But this guy is not fitting in there. So this guy is wider than this. So the old A-arm bushing, it's not a perfect measurement because there's like a kind of like bumps or knurl. So I got 1 inch, 800, we'll call it 880 thousandths. This is 1 inch, 890. Alright, so it's not too bad. So I got to pull off about 10 thousandths. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up taking this inner sleeve out, and I'm going to run it on the belt sander until I remove 10 thousandths so that I could get it into my into the car. Alright, so this is basically the sleeve that goes inside the bushing that goes into the frame rail for the upper A-arm. It was too wide. I measured about 10 thousandths too wide. So we're going to take about 10 thou off. You know, I don't have any lathe or a mill or anything, so we're going to use a belt sander. I measured this outside of the knuckle, and I get 1.772. So we need to shoot for 1.762. Alright, we got the control arm on. So good news. I did use my factory bolts with the eccentrics, and so we're going to be able to, you know, there was no issue with them going on here. So I'm going to end up running them to have one level of adjustability, and I'm going to likely push the, using the eccentrics, push the upper A-arm out as much as possible, and then when we get to the alignment shop, they can do the fine-tune alignment through the tie rods. So basically, pretty cool. But with this control arm, you have opportunity to put this in upside down. These bushings have to go in on the inside of each side, but even though the instructions are pretty basic, they give you a pretty good illustration showing the driver's side here, and you can see the bushing, where it goes, the orientation as far as, and the label. They're also labeled, so there's a left, an L on the left side, which is the driver's side, and an R on the passenger side. So kind of hard to screw up. So pretty nice. I ended up having to put those sleeves on the belt sander to get them to fit my car. So on the front I took 37 thousandths off of it, and the back I only took 15 thousandths off. They're definitely wider than my car, but it's very probable that, you know, this car, who knows how many times an A-arm and a front end kit went in on this car, or, you know, went to the alignment shop or whatever. It's probably pretty beat up, and as I stated before, I think this side of the car's got issues because of the drag. It was drag raced. So anyway, it fits. I'm not worried about it. We've got a ton of adjustability between the factory adjustment and the SPC arms, so I'm confident that we can get this thing pretty dialed in. So now all I have to do is put it back together and get to the other side.
They have a lot to say. This is the aluminum header gasket I blew out because I didn't run lock washers. Basically, the back one fell out. The second one was finger tight. This one's finger tight. The front three are tight, but we're gonna change all these to lock washers. I should know better. I usually do. I'm not sure. I mean, it's been a long time since I put these headers on, so I might have been putting them on and figured I'd put lock washers later and just forgot about it. Anyway, off to the repair. Okay, so aside from this one getting blown out because the bolts backed out, I love these aluminum exhaust manifold or header gaskets. I mean, you can see, like, we're not getting any kind of leaks around, which is, you know, usually with normal header gaskets, there's always some leaks puffing out of the corners or something like that. So these look like they did a pretty good job of sealing up. You know, one thing I was always kind of unsure of is which side goes towards the head. There's not exactly any instructions with these. So I happened to put the flat side against the head and then the concave side facing the header, just because the header flange was smaller and I figured would fit in between here better. So it seemed to work pretty good. So we'll swap that out. Alright, I got lock washers on all the header bolts. What I wanted to show you was these headers. Now they're small tube headers, which that part kind of sucks. But these are the tri-Y headers. I bought them through Schumacher. My buddy tells me that TTI is the one that actually makes them. And if you saw my Schumacher video for the motor mounts, there's seems to be some issues going on with the company right now. So if you are interested in these headers, I recommend seeing if you can get them through TTI. But anyway, they are pretty nice headers and they do give you a lot of room. So having a 440 and an A body, these are pretty nice. Now, granted, my fender wells are cut out of the car, so it makes it really easy to get to the header bolts, but I just kind of wanted to show you how easy each one is to get to. I mean, these two are obvious, right? These guys, the front tube goes up pretty high, which is nice, so you can get the socket in there pretty easily. Even that one. This one's usually a pain in the butt to get to on headers. So, anyway, just a little quick tidbit. So already the wheel looks a lot better. It looks closer to being straight up and down than having a lot of negative camber. So we got the SPC arms in there. And so I'm going to get the car on flat ground and then do like a basic alignment on it and probably put some levels on the wheels to get them so they're straight up and down. So that'll probably be a different video. Joe, just let you know I got the t-shirt. Pretty cool. Anybody else out there watching this, go check out Just Mopar Joe. He puts out some pretty cool Mopar videos with an occasional Chevy thrown in the mix, right, Joe? All right. Till next time, guys.